This is Rod Kusanen, Spoon for Risk on February 26, 2019. All times on the Charter Central Standard Time. And this morning there was a good initial long trade followed by a good short followed by another long. Let's talk about it. Looking at the retracements, first of all, that was the big clue. A simple trend line kind of gave away what was about to happen here. And in the overnight market, the Spoos came down to the 61.8 retracement level, and then they were just gradually moving up this morning into 7, into 8 o'clock, into 8:30. And so trying to get into a long trade, and it was a little, just a little bit tricky. Wasn't real clear where the entry point was going to be. But let's look at how the premium helped. Let's get back there. Okay, so here's the open, and the premium is just, it's just moving up. So really about the only obvious place to go was to try to get in somewhere in here. All right, somewhere in there. Now we did get a, right in here. Here's where the automated strategy pushed off the first and only set of trades. So whether you got in here or in here or in here, which would have been even better, all of that was going to work. But the write-up was pretty clear because you could pretty well see, and I'm going to show you this on a slightly different chart. What I use sometimes when the option to get in is not real clear, I use this Spearman's indicator, okay? And I've got it set pretty fast. So when this drops below a factor of -70, I'm looking for a long trade. And as we ran up, you could see the pullback once it gets above +70 here or here. Now, what was interesting and what kind of gave away the short was as we continue to test that high, this was becoming divergent. And you could see the divergence on the CCX as well. So that was pretty much the reason to short this, although the premium was telling us exactly the same thing. Well, and here's a couple of other automated signals here. These are generally going to be late. This particular strategy, when all else fails, this is the one that will pick up the trade a little bit late in getting in, but it will generally pick up the trend pretty well. But let's go back to the premium here. So as the market moves up, and you can see much more clearly the divergence right in here. All right, here a little tough, here much more obvious. We have this low, new low on the premium, lower low on the ES, higher low on the premium, and that's real clear. And then we get this real big push up on the premium here, but then a rather significant divergence over here. And that's where I started to go ahead and short this. But that price continued to get tagged. But when it got tagged way over here, you could see just how obviously divergent the premium was. This is real clear. Okay, so here's the strategy shorts. So all over the place in here, and particularly right there. And that works. And then a confirmation that we're still moving down over here. Now look at how the premium helps us to go long. So here's the premium trend, lower, 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 now beginning to get higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. And as this dips right into the low value area, there's the final turn in the premium here. Starts moving up, and this is so typical. It moves up, comes down, there's your cycle, and up we go, and it doesn't look back. So as we hit that low, let's look at the strategy signals. And right in here, we get the signals, and up we go. So as the market moved up to the initial high here, there was really no reason to be too concerned about that. We're still moving higher. Little pullback into another new high here. We're still long, and we should be able to move back up there a little bit later this morning to a new high. And where's the target? Well, keeping in mind we went up to 28.14 yesterday. We might get a little bit of, well, we'll just have to wait and see. Watch the premium as we get into a higher high here. But that target way up here is very clear, and really it's higher than that because the composites we've just got four major composites upper value areas in this area, and we've yet to hit the 28, 15, 25 level. So that's on the radar for today as well. Okay, we'll come back, recap. We had a good few short and long trades this morning, and we're long into the lunch hour, and we'll come back and take a look at how things perform at the close. Well, after this little dip here, I think we can say with a fair amount of certainty that we're going to come and revisit this price area, because that's a pretty low drop on the premium. And because that area around 95.25 is right in the proximity of that low volume node, yeah, we might drop right back to it, or maybe even a little bit lower. There's the VWAP. And then we'll see if we are divergent enough to go long. Now, watch as the premium moves down here, because that kind of looks like a good place to get short. The premium oftentimes will just bump up briefly before it moves back down. Now, it already did that here and here, and it may do it again. So, right in there, you saw. That's the behavior of the prem. Okay, it's real clear here what needed to take place. That reading is off just a bit. I'm going to just toggle that. Okay. Okay, nice little short here. Looks like we're going to test 94.50. That's the VWAP. Okay, we just hit it. Nothing extraordinary here. Premium is turning up. Strategy did not push off a long signal in here. But I went long. Shorted it up there, went long right in here. Now there's the strategy. It just kicked off. Long trade. We got another long trade on the limit order. Now look closely at the premium here. We're still dropping. All right, we're liable to get stopped out here. Okay, looks like we may be safe. Now, in situations like this, as you're watching the premium very carefully, you got to realize whether or not you ought to be dumping the trade or averaging in if you can. We could average in a little bit on this, and we did, and then we will average out of it just as quickly. In other words, we'll put on some more contracts as we get into this low, presuming that the premium has not gone too, has not forecasted that we're going back down there. And there's nothing on the premium here that suggests that. The averages are a little bit lower than they were here, but not appreciably. Okay, so in the light of that, I think we're going to be okay with this. Okay, it's looking a little safer, and we may be able to see this continue on up. Okay, we will come back and recap toward the end of the day. Well, the day has been relatively lackluster. We talked about the long trades that we're getting right there at around 11:30ish. And it just never really materialized. Came back down. We got another set of long automated signals here, and that finally made it. But that was a bit grueling for that hour. And then, surprisingly enough, as we did manage to go back up, we started getting short signals here and here, and then an exit right in here to pretty much bring us to a close for the day. It just did not manage to materialize beyond that 350 area. So that was the high. We got a short signal there. Let's look at the premium. And here's the raw data on the premium. We had this move up and then into a lower high here and another lower high in here, and that's why we got these signals. The premium had just definitely did not confirm, and this big new low for the day on the premium right after 2 o'clock was a pretty good indication that this market was coming back down. And so taking the short trade right in here, as you can see, that divergence right in there on the premium. And we got the signal actually just a little bit before that, because this is a 50 tick chart. The other is a 5-second chart. But that's where the divergence came in, and that's all she wrote. So, quick review of the day. We had good success, but not any really big moves taking place. And the retracement from this morning down to that low, 61.8% retracement, and then an attempt to make it up, and further just did not bear fruit. And that divergence on the premium brought us down, so we'll probably test this trend line and take it all the way back down to 89-ish, I would imagine. So that brings us to a close for the day. I'm Rod Kusin, Spoorman for Risk.